because you know their expectations, you can not only meet you need to not only meet them, you need to exceed those expectations, because that's the only time meeting someone's expectations in the sales process is like the cost of entry. Like that's what they expect. That's why they're paying you. That's the transaction.
Hello and welcome back to another Leads to Growth episode. I'm your host, Chris McCoy, and we are the National Association of Sales Professionals, and proud to bring you another great guest. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I am just getting to know this man right now. I like being honest, John, but I already like the cut of this guy's jib, as my grandfather used to say. Someone who brings a lot of confidence, but not arrogance, is something that is right up my alley, and I think that speaks to all of us here in sales. Jas, thanks for being here, brother.
I appreciate it, Chris, man. And the kind words always make me feel good. It makes my kids feel good. So I appreciate that as well. I couldn't agree with you more, man. This is, for people that are going to be seeing me and listening to me for the first time from your world, I hope they see this more as confidence and not cockiness. It's just not who I am, but they'll get to make that decision themselves. But I think a lot of my confidence comes from experience now, right? Like me being a salesperson my whole life, like this is all I've ever done, coming up to, I'm 40 now, but like when it really, really started for me and in a formal way, selling newspapers when I was a 12-year-old, I'm going on to 28 years, man. Like, look, the truth is I would be the biggest idiot in the world if I didn't pick up on some patterns, pick up on some patterns of what has worked really well for me, as well as all the stuff, again, the more mistakes and failures than actual successes that I actually had. Also, I've come to realize what works well, like just when you're speaking to people and dealing with a prospect, and then turning that into like lifelong relationships and lifelong clients. I mean, that's something that it really gets my juices flowing. And so as you and I were speaking for, probably, 13.2 seconds before we went on air, because generally, me being a podcast host as well, some of the good stuff is when you're speaking off air, you know what I mean? And so I was like, Chris, let's just get this started. You said the same thing. Let's just get it started. Let people like hear and be a fly on the wall. You're going to get to know me. I'm going to get to know you. But as I was saying, it's really coming from a place now of, hey, guys, gals, this has worked well for me in sales, and take maybe just even one thing, like out of your thousands upon hundreds of thousands of viewers and listeners, I'm just looking to touch one person, like just one person. Because the truth is, I also know that most people, after hearing me or watching me, they get all pumped up and they get inspired, and all that stuff is cool. I get messages and stuff like that. But then Thursday morning happens, and then they have to work on a deal or something like that. And then, but there's usually one person that actually takes it and executes on it and makes it a habit, and then they get those long-term results.
Hey, Jas, this is why we're talking, man. This is what we do at NASP. We support all those other people, the other 99 out of that 100, who are like, we just don't know how to create habits, and we help them with the commitment and consistency to take those old habits, shed those old ones, and replace them with those new ones through commitment and consistency and daily repetition. So I love what you're preaching there, and I also love to, man. So you call yourself a sales guy. Yet, if you look at his LinkedIn resume, the top line talks about how many people he's helped, talks about how he's a real estate broker, right? All these other things, not one of those things says sales. And I think that's very, very important to our audience, as we always talk about, man, sales and influence are everywhere. And you can be confident when you come from a moral standard. And I sense that about you, John. And in the real estate business, when you're dealing with real estate, and it looks like you also came from the automotive industry, you sound doing some car sales and some Acuras. These are the two biggest important decisions that a person makes in their life. And these decisions factor not only into where they stay or sleep or how they drive, but it factors into their identity. And so you
100%.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, like, as a salesperson, for the people that are listening right now, I think the best thing that we can do is not be pushy when it specifically comes to those two big decisions. I think our job is to, and this is coming from somebody that is doing it at a high level, but also all the guys and gals that I like collaborate with and mastermind with, and ones that I've just seen. Like I have a team of salespeople. I have 54 real estate agents, and probably a total of, I don't know, 150 that have come in and out of my doors, and thousands that call on me to just like get some tips and strategies. But I think our main job is to give the information to the prospect, not sell it and push it down their throat, and then allow them to make a quality informed decision themselves. Like just give away the information. Like in real estate, for example, we're not like real estate agents are really needed for one or two things. Like they're needed to kind of help decipher all these stats and the information, but also understand as a real estate agent that there's a website called YouTube, there's a website called Google, that the prospect already has access to all this information. And so you trying to think that you're the only person that has the information, not in 2022. Sorry, And so if you come out of the gate, and this is my like probably one of my best pieces of advice for salespeople, is that whatever industry you're in, selling cars, real estate, newspapers, laptops, whatever it is, give away the best secrets about your product and service. Because 90% of people, I won't say as high as 99, I'm going to say 90% of people, whatever service that you're offering, whatever product that you're selling, the prospect doesn't want to do it on their own. Meaning, like, they don't want to sell their home on their own. They don't have the time. They don't have the knowledge. It's way in and over their head. They don't want to go buy a car privately. They don't want to try to write their own insurance policy. They don't want to, if you're a tax advisor, they don't want to do really their own taxes. There's that 10% of people that do, and they do it to save money and like because they have the education maybe. But instead of worrying about the 10%, just provide all the information to the 90%. It makes it, you start to look like you're the authority. And that's when you start to hear like, oh, do you mind, like, are you even a real estate agent? I get that all the time. Jas, are you even a real estate agent? Because it sounds like you're just informing people and like educating people. And for me as a salesperson, I mean, 28 years, as I mentioned, for 20 years, 25 years, I've been working uphill to build that credibility. What content creation allowed me to do, like podcasting, for example, is give away all that information and then let people come to me.
Yes. I love that. We have one of our values, Jas, is value leads, money follows. And you see everybody who's successful, they give the value away because the buyer wants to know, yeah, that works. I know that's the right thing. I'm smart. So now you're smart. So let's do something together. I mean, look at ClickFunnels. Look at Russell Brunson. His whole process is to teach you how to build your own ClickFunnels so that you hire him to do your ClickFunnels. Like this process of educating you but you're right. They don't want to do it. Not only, maybe they don't believe that they can sometimes too. I think a lot of it has to do with that belief. They want your belief too, Jas.
Yeah, 100%, right? And they want your experience, like from a prospect's perspective.
They don't know what they don't know.
100%, right? Like we know that we don't, like most people, I can talk for myself. I mean, I don't know brain surgery, right? But and I think that's most people on this planet. But then there's
people on this call for sure. Yeah.
Exactly, right. And then there's those blind spots, though, right? The stuff that you don't even know that you don't know, right? But as from a salesperson's perspective, knowing that people are not going to do that stuff on their own. So we already harped down on the fact, be the person that gives away that information. But I think where salespeople get stopped and where the friction is in their own head is that they come from a scarcity mindset, that there's not enough to go around. Or if I give, Chris, all the best tactics on podcasting and growing his audience or getting started on TikTok, well, then I'm not going to be able to, then I'm going to lose those customers, or he's going to get more of the pie. See, this is all about understanding that the world is abundant. There is, like, when your friend or your colleague or somebody that, and I'm doing air quotes for people who are taking their dog for a walk and listening to the podcast right now, when your colleague at work makes $10 million. I got news for you. That's not the only $10 million in the world that circulates. In fact, on a different tangent, they just printed the most money that's ever been printed in the last in the last 3 years. They printed more money that's been printed in the last 40 years combined. So there's a lot of that to go around, right? So when you actually can get the mindset and understand that that's not the only 10 million that's available, then you come from a place of abundance. And then, not to get too fifi-foofy and all all in the clouds right now, but here's then the next phase of attraction starts to happen, meaning because you're living in abundance, you're grateful for all the stuff that you have, you get on this frequency. Because like attracts like, then the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, a higher being, because you're on that higher frequency, opportunities, resources, the right people, money you start to get in front of it, because you're now on the frequency of abundance. And so to the salesperson who's out there who's worried, man, I can't stress enough. If there's only one thing that you take from me today, is start your day with gratefulness, which will then lead you to having more of an abundance mindset. And then it's not even your job anymore. It's not your job. Your only job is to live in gratefulness. Really, really. Like if you just live in gratefulness, the universe will take over. And like this, there's scientific proof to back this. If you ask any, and if somebody who's not really into science, but they need more like stories, and that's how they things resonate with them. If you look at any successful person, until they got to a place of abundance and gratefulness, they were always battling and they always had a tough time to actually have success. But the second they got into abundance and gratefulness, then they started to get in front of all those opportunities.
My man, I had to change my background because that contrast is just driving me nuts. But you're exactly right. You are preaching to the choir. And the idea is, and listen, everybody, they don't come to us for this, Jas. They come to us to tell us how to prospect, tell us how to close, tell us how to do all these things. And everything comes back to being more human, comes back to living in abundance and letting go of the scarcity. They always come back to the mindset that you bring when you do these things. And I just love how you brought that around. I also love how you call yourself a salesperson, and yet most real estate brokers or real estate agents would never even say that word. And also to the idea that sales is not push, sales is pull. When you express confidence and you give away your value, you're able to pull. All right, Jas.
Oh man, I mean, just really quickly, Chris,
not to
cut you off,
really
brother.
Slow,
But
brother.
I'm all about I'm a salesperson. I want my clients to know that. And because at the end of the day, I also know they're thinking it. All my pros, before you get to know me, you're like, oh my God, this guy's gonna try to sell me something. I get it. I understand that. And some of my clients even now will be like, man, Jas got so much energy and he has so much passion and he has the gift of gab and all that. And so a 0.5% of my clients that have been doing business with me for, in real estate for 17 years, even them, guys and gals that have bought 12, 14, 15 properties with me in that time period, because I work with a lot of investors. I know they're thinking it. So let me just get in front of it. I am a salesperson, but that doesn't mean I'm a sleazy salesperson. And let me explain how. And more importantly, don't take my word for it. None of it. Let me show you. And at any time, any contract that you sign with myself or my firm, I'm putting it in writing for you, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect. You can cancel this at any time. Because the truth is, if you don't want to work with me, then I'm not going to hold you to some silly ass contract. Forget it. It is what it is. Yeah, I put in a lot of time. Who cares? Because I actually want to show you more than just tell you. But yes, I'm a sales person. It just doesn't mean that I'm one of those guys that's going to try to manipulate you. I actually tell my clients regularly on calls, do me a favor, Chris, because I know you're thinking about investing and I'm really hype about this investment particularly, but please don't let my passion and my energy influence you, because I know I have that gift. I literally tell them all this shit up front, because I don't want you to get into something that you don't think is right, but because the good looking Indian guy Jas, who's waving his hands a lot, is coming at you so strong. And yes, I know you look at me as somebody who has experience and authority. I still want you to do your own due diligence. Like, I want you to figure this out as well. Here's some people that you can talk to. Does it feel right in your gut? And so as I put all this stuff in front of my clients, it starts to, like, we all deal with objections, right? Like, and people ask me, how do you deal with objections when they come up? I'm like, don't let them come up. Just tell them all the objections up front. Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, this is what I found over the last 17 years of me selling real estate. You're going to come up with this. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. There's probably a little over 167 things that might happen during the process. I've seen them all. And if there's something new that comes up, I can tell you I might not even have the answer for you, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect. Like, legit, I don't have all the answers. However, I know the people who know the people who know the people that will have those answers for you. And so this rant that I just went on, and some of the scripts and dialogues that I use, it's really to put people at ease. The faster, the quicker that you can put a prospect at ease, the better chance you have of actually them wanting to do business with you. But I'm also just not looking at Jas, the prospect, as the client. Like, I'm not looking at that one transaction. I know on average, he knows 200 people. And so for me to actually get to those 200 people on average that every human kind of interacts with or knows on their phone or socials, the only way of doing that is if I take care of him so well that he tells people that he had a wow experience. And then that's how you turn prospects into advocates.
Man, you got the language down too, bro. Those wow experiences, they're so important. They are essential. And why listen to all the things that he's talking about. He's talking about feelings, emotions, at ease, comfort, right? What is he doing? He's interrupting patterns. He's providing certainty, and he's getting people out of their own way. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I think, look, when a person ends up on your phone, on your call, in your room, in your office or whatever, and they're there for a reason. The more real you can be with them, the more, as you said, at ease, which is disarming them of any of the concerns that they have. So don't act like they're not there. I think that's why people deal with objections, and that's why people have to close, is because you're trying to hide from these objections. You're trying to pretend that they don't exist. And when you pretend they don't exist, you allow that buyer, that prospect, to make an assumption. And what is an assumption? Yeah. We all know that.
Yeah. Well, you're making an ass out of you and me, and I, right? Like, exactly. and yeah, like when it comes to objection handling, like, who wants to be handled like they're a hockey puck? Yeah. Like, I don't get it. Like, we as consumers, so the salespeople that we're speaking to, we're also consumers. Just think of yourself as a consumer. Do you like to be handled? And like, or do you just want somebody to give you the information so you can make the decision yourself, right? Like, this whole, like, you need to have scripts, and I get it. Look, as I mentioned, I have a team, and I don't give them scripts. I give them, like, here's some pointers that I think you should cover. Because the reason I say that is because, for a couple of reasons. Number one, if I give you a script to deal with Chris, well, what if he goes off script because he's the prospect and he doesn't have the exact same script? What are you going to do then? Number two, how you speak to Chris has to be completely different than how you speak to Benjamin. Benjamin, for example, real life example, my boy, he's an intern that just joined me about 3-4 days ago. He's from Ghana. Well, English is not his first language. So am I going to be speaking to Benjamin with the same type of energy and using as much slang that I can maybe get away with using with Chris? No, I'd be idiotic.
Your pace and your slang going to have to fall in half, my friend.
100%. When I speak to Benjamin, I slow down, not because he's an idiot. He's a very, very sharp and smart guy, but he's not going to understand some of the slang words we use here in Toronto, right? And so when I speak to somebody who might be 19 years old or 20 years old, I'm not going to use stories of people that are 67 or 72 years old, because they're not going to resonate, and vice versa. When I'm speaking to a 77-year-old person that might need me to bring down my energy, I'm going to bring down my energy real quick. And then if I find in the conversation because maybe their energy was down because they think I'm a salesperson, but then they started to open up and then they started to speak with a little bit more bravado. Like, man, I'm going to start, like, I'm going to be able to move with them. And I'm going to navigate this whole experience for them and for myself, because I think what salespeople have a tough time with, like, other than like the mindset, is also thinking that they have to have a pitch down. See, as a salesperson, your job, again, in my opinion, is not to have a pitch. It's to ask questions. Just ask questions and stick with open-ended questions as much as you possibly can, meaning questions that don't really elicit a yes or a no. So stick with your what, where, when, how, and whys. Why being the most important, because that's going to really, really let you get, they're going to go deep in terms of what their need might be and the motivation is. And so your job, when you think about it from that perspective and you're just asking questions, well, what pitch do you need? Nothing. Like, it's, why are you thinking about investing into a condo? What type of property are you looking for? When did you want that new car for? Right? And like how do you see this process going, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect? Well, now by asking them, how do you see this process going, you also understand their expectations. Now, to give them a wow experience, bringing back kind of, some of our earlier points, is because you know their expectations, you can not only meet, you need to not only meet them, you need to exceed those expectations, because that's the only time meeting someone's expectations in the sales process is like the cost of entry. Like, that's what they expect. That's why they're paying you. That's the transaction. They give you money, you give them what they expect. But when you exceed their expectations and they say that magical word, wow, now you have a chance that when they're at a cocktail party, when they're speaking to somebody at work, they say, dude, like, you're thinking about buying insurance. I just had, I think I was in the twilight zone dealing with Chris. Like, it was amazing. He did this, he did this, he did this, and then this happened, and then this happened. You'd be crazy to work with anybody else but Chris.
I love that. And that's where the personality, the individual comes out, right? People always think that they want to show their style. They want to show their knowledge. They want to express themselves because they want that person to know how smart they are, how brilliant they are. But that person doesn't care. They want to know that you're a human, that you're unique, and that you're special, but that you're listening to them and that they're the hero. I've got this great, I got an interview coming up with Oscar Tromboli, and he wrote these deep listening. And it's cards and a little book in there. But the idea is, and as salespeople, we are listeners. That's what we are. We are listeners. I'll give you an example. Not even just with our ears, with our eyes, y'all. I went and bought a leather jacket. I was in Vegas and I was hanging out with some cats who were, let's just say, significantly more well-funded than I was at the time. And they're balling on another level. So they're buying some suits, they're spending money, and I'm like, oh man, I'm sitting there in this place and I see this leather jacket, and I'm like, man, I like that. So the salesperson comes up, she's an attractive woman, obviously, as you have in Las Vegas at a men's clothing store, and she puts this leather jacket on me, and I'm like, hoo, hoo, hoo. And she had watched me already in the conversation. I was kind of sitting on the sideline while they were trying on the suits and the whole thing, right? And so she walks me outside to the Chandelier bar in the middle of the Cosmopolitan, and we get a cup. She buys me a drink. I've got the jacket on still. She buys me a drink, and she just sits there, and she just makes on my arm almost, this beautiful woman, right? It just makes me feel this way with this jacket on. She's like, "What are you going to use this jacket for? Where's home?" And I'm telling her, she's like, "Oh, you're gonna wear it in the fall." And I'm like, yeah, it's, oh man, that's a perfect jacket for that, da da da. And I'm just sitting there. We finish our drink. We come back, and I didn't ask a single other question. I walked right up to the register, took my card out, and put it on. Why? Because she heard and felt my situation. She listened to me without even have to ask the questions. She knew I was looking to feel a certain way, and I needed to feel a certain way, and she made me feel that way, and she attached it to the jacket, and she sold it to me just like that. Never had to close.
I was about to say, like, she didn't even sell it to you, man. You sold it to yourself.
I sold it to myself.
All she did is ask you the questions. You answered the questions. She then was smart enough to know she had something in her inventory that could match what you were looking for. That's it. That's Absolutely. It. Like, it's a matter of just reverse engineering what the prospect needs. And that's sometimes exactly, you had a need, you had a want. And sometimes you as a salesperson have to be okay with saying, you know what? Like, I don't have anything like in my shelves. I don't have anything in my inventory. And I use the word inventory like from in the physical form, but also like the service that you provide.
Sure.
Like if you're an insurance person and they're asking for something that you don't even do, even in the insurance world, that's okay. How about you just make an introduction to somebody? You're still taking care of them, right? And so it comes down to sorting and not convincing. Like most salespeople, especially because look, I don't really know anyone, and I'm just making sure that like I really go into the back of my brain here. Yeah, like I don't know anyone that grew up saying that they're going to be a salesperson their whole life. Like I mean, like like as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, what do you want to be, honey? I want to be a firefighter. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be an NBA player. Like that. Like we didn't grow up and saying we want to be a salesperson.
No.
And so when like in their lives, 17, 18, 22, 26, they bumped into somebody and someone said to them, you know what you'd be great at, Chris? Like you just have so much energy and you're such a good looking guy. And I'm not sure if your viewers know that already about you, but Chris, you're a good looking guy. And yeah, for sure.
Name recognized name.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I think you would be great in sales because you also have that gift of gab. And so then that person says, oh, maybe you know what? Like I've heard that 16 times in the last year. Maybe I'm going to try my hand out at sales. And then they start YouTubing or Googling, or they just have this preconceived notion that what salespeople do is that they're really good at convincing. Their job is to convince. And so then they start they start to try to convince people. Yes. They're on a phone call. You walk into a store to buy a jacket. You, as a salesperson, you're like, okay, I got to convince this guy to buy. My job is to close and convince. Where I come from, the understanding and all my experience now tells me that it's all about sorting. Okay. It has nothing to do with convincing. I'm just here to find out in the first 4 to 5 minutes of a conversation. Sometimes it takes me 13 to 18 minutes. I'm very, very like I'm pretty good with a 13 to 18 minute conversation, knowing if I can even provide what this prospect is looking for. I start all my conversations the same way, and I've been doing this for the same conversation I've been using for 15 years. And it's, Chris, I want to get a better idea of what you're looking into accomplishing, and then I'm going to show you how we might be able to help. And Chris, I emphasize the word might because the truth is I can't help everyone. If it's a match, we'll move to the next step. You good with that, Chris, the prospect? Yeah, you're good with that? Awesome. Absolutely. Let's sit down for a coffee for 15 to 20 minutes. That's it. And then I sit down with you and you're like, average price point here in Toronto for a property right now is like $1.2 million. And you say you want a that's the average. And so, I mean, there's still properties that are $600,000-700,000, but if you're looking for a $450,000 home in Toronto, I can't help you, right? I can educate you. And I might be able to make some introductions to other parts of our province that you might be able to find something like that for, but I can't help you. So what am I going to try to convince you now? No, I'm going to try to give you some information. Hopefully you tell a friend and a colleague that I was nice about it. And then we move on to the next person. And like, there's close to 8 billion people on this planet. Like, you're not going to get to everyone. It's just not going to happen. So why not just start with the sorting process already? And then your mindset is different too, because when you're going into a meeting, or consultation, or somebody walks into your store, you're just thinking like, oh, is this going to be the 1 out of 7, or what? Over time, you'll get your numbers down. But is this going to be the 1 out of 7 that is going to move forward with me? Oh, they're not one of the 7. Great. That's just part of the 1 out of the 6 that was going to say no anyways.
Absolutely. And I think another great thing that you do is by being confident, by being an individual, by being yourself, you're doing that first level of sorting right off the bat, right? Because people aren't going to, the more you are like you, the more you're going to attract people like you and people that you want to work and spend your time with and have a deal with, and have a long-term relationship. This isn't just a transactional deal for you as a salesperson. You're looking to build a long-term relationship, get referrals. So for that to happen, that person's got to have some alignment with you, some connection with you.
Yeah, and that's you know, it could be used as a great segue, brother, because now you're talking what I do from a marketing perspective, meaning like now I'm getting into like my objective with marketing is that I'm going to try to repel the wrong people and attract the right people. And
Yeah.
I do that through content. Video really being like the king when it comes to that, because now people can make that decision if they think I'm somebody that they would want to get to know a little bit more, right? Because now you see me on video, you get to hear me as well, and you might not like the fact that I sell real estate in Toronto in a t-shirt and jeans. Like your viewers right now are like, what I'm wearing is what I wear every single day. I don't change for anything. Like, it's just who I am. Like, if unless I'm going to like obviously a formal party or something, but from a work perspective, my clients see me in a t-shirt and jeans. That throws, like, I'm a hard sale. Like, I know that. I know that about myself. I I speak about real estate investing, so I need like numbers and returns and finding properties and all that, right? And hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in terms of like what somebody's actually buying. And yet I just barely passed high school. I wear a t-shirt, and in the winter I wear a hoodie. I am from the most northern part in Toronto, in an area that is known for, like, lock your windows when you drive past, when you drive in Rexdale, lock your doors, put up your windows kind of area, right? Everybody knows this about me. I can't spell majority of the words that I say. So I'm self-aware enough to understand that I'm a hard sell. Like, yeah, there's so many reasons why you shouldn't work with me. But what I've come to learn is that there's still a lot of people, not necessarily more or less or whatever it is, but there's still a lot of people that I resonate with. And that's who I'm building my sales tribe. And I'm not talking about my 54 agents. I'm talking about the clients that actually do business with me. They become part of my sales tribe. Why? Because then they tell their friends, their colleagues, and because the ones that resonate with me, there's a high probability they also hang around with people that are close to them. So if they resonate with me, chances are their friends and family are going to resonate with me as well. Not all of them, but majority of them, right? And so that transitions into like the world of marketing, because now with my content creation, I'm already putting it out there up front, because I want to say to Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, like, if you don't like what you hear, you shouldn't call me and come into my office, because you're just going to hear more of it and you're just going to see more of it, right? And so on the flip side, to the salesperson that's listening and watching now, like, imagine everybody that walked into your office, walked into your store, like that, the when you walk into their home or you meet at a coffee shop, they already got a taste of you. Like, it might have only been one video. Imagine if they got a taste of 100 videos or 1,000, or I'm at I'm north of 2,000-3,000 videos now, right? And so imagine they already got a taste of it and they still wanted to meet with you. Guess what? And I don't mean this with from a negative perspective. You have some leverage. Like, not to say that you should take advantage of it, but you have some leverage because they've seen this, they've heard you, maybe they read something that you put out in terms of, a blog or something on your website, and they still wanted to meet with you. And so that is one of the the biggest game changers happened when I got real comfortable with putting myself out there through content.
Yeah, because you felt the push-pull shift in your sales life, and then you're like, well, shit, then let's just do it with marketing now. And that marketing became, all right, well, let me just be myself in my marketing now. And you realize, oh wow, now I'm getting that leverage on the front end. So now they're coming to me, and I'm not even having to go to them to then do the business. And I absolutely love that. I love your hustle, I love your grind, I love your city too. Big fan of Toronto. One of my homies is up there going to be at the Comfort Zone this weekend, man. So
cool. Cool, man. Awesome.
I've been heading up to the zone for a long time because I'm from Detroit, Michigan. So you're right across the
water
from us over
there. You're not too far from us, man. Yeah. I love I love Detroit as well. So
My
I've been there
man.
a few times. So and like I said, well, let me say this for the first time on air. Next time you come to Toronto, it would be an insult if you don't look me up and we don't have whatever your vice is, H2O, coffee, vodka, tequila, beer, whatever it is, it's on me, brother.
My man, we can have one of each, Jas. I'm down, brother. Well,
I
listen,
like that.
yeah, listen, and the same goes for Austin, man. I know you're coming down through Austin sometime soon, so make sure you make that happen. All right.
100%.
Awesome.
Well, as you look through my content, it's a little further away from Austin, but same state. I'm a massive, massive Dallas Cowboy fan.
Woo! Look out, man. Look out. All right, Jas, we got more to talk about. We definitely going to run this one back for sure. We're going to have you back on again. Love your energy, love your style, dude. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to wrap this now because we got a hard stop, but y'all, we're going to leave you wanting more, and I know you love that. So make sure y'all go to leave your stars down in the bottom here. And Jas, where can they find you, man? Where can they
Hey
follow you?
man, I'm not that hard to find, man. I'm on all the platforms, the YouTubes, the socials, and all that kind of stuff. But I think the best thing to do is just go check me out on my website. Go to Jas Takhar, first and last name, jastakhar.tv. You can actually download an app that I came out with on iTunes and on Android and on Apple. It's free. There's no cost for it, and it's just a place to get inspired. I'm documenting my journey and I'm telling other people's stories because not everybody necessarily will resonate with mine. But I'm just trying to inspire people, man. I got mine. My cup is full right now, and it's overflowing, and so I'm just giving back as much as I could. I don't need any more money. Like, I don't have hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars either. But like, I realized long time ago that, I just needed to get to a certain level in terms of money. And then it wasn't making me any more happy. Right. And what was making me happy, the juice out of life I was getting when people were telling me, like, they heard me say something, they saw me do something, and then they actually took action on it, and it helped them. Like, it could have helped them 50% in their business, 10% in their life, whatever it might be, even if it's like 0.0001%, that's the juice in my life right now.
I love that, man. All this beautiful stuff leads to growth, y'all. Jas, thank you for being here, man. National Association of Sales Professionals, y'all. Leave your reviews because you know you had a great time. We'll see you on the next one.